Apostolate Jesus 29 The prophetic magisterium of the high Jewish priest, John 11. Was there an infallible magisterium among Jewish high priests, for the Christian high priest who is called the Pope, as Christians believe in it? Well, the answer is yes. And in the same way, concerning only the doctrine of salvation, as it was announced to the Jews, that is, through material facts, whereas for the Christian Pope, who received the revelation of their spiritual meaning, the protective magisterium of the Holy Spirit also extends to his spiritual teaching about salvation. It is found in chapter 11 of St. John, verse 46, we can see how this magisterium is exercised. Lazarus was just raised from the dead. The Jewish priests are furious, Jesus performs many signs, people go to him, and in addition, some of them attended this particular event of Lazarus' resurrection. So the priests argue among themselves, what are we to do? And some of them make false assumptions like, the Romans will end up slaughtering the people. Then, Caiaphas, the high priest that year, high priests were elected for a 1-year time, takes the floor and gets angry by saying, you know nothing at all. Nor do you understand that it is better for you that one man should die for the people, not that the whole nation should perish. Caiaphas, literally calls for Jesus' death sentence in order to avoid losing his power. This is his secret fear, but, in full view of the people, to protect them against an hypothetical massacre by the Romans. One could say that there is no infallibility there is a pastoral statement of both common sense and cynicism. St. John comments, saying, verse 51-52, he did not say this on his own accord, but being high priest that year he prophesied that Jesus would die for the nation, and not for the nation only, but also to gather into one the children of God who are scattered abroad. What does that mean? It means the Holy Spirit can make a word infallible according to its meaning linked to salvation, whereas according to its human meaning pronounced by the priest in question, it can be quite fallible. It is the same in the Catholic Church. At some point, the popes wondered, is it necessary for them to be elected that they not be heretics? And before the dogma of the infallibility of popes was proclaimed in 1870, some theologians said, no, he cannot be pope because he was heretic before. This issue does not arise, it no longer arises. Because we know now that infallibility does not come from the popes. It does not come from them. It comes from Christ. It is the only stone on which this infallibility is rooted. Christ chooses a poor sinner called Simon. Simon is imperfect, he will deny him many times, even just before his death he tried to fly away, but Jesus says to him, in Matthew 16:18, you are Peter. It means that Jesus will make him a rock on a specific point. He will confirm his brothers in their faith when he will return from his betrayal. So infallibility does not protect from sin, from Pope's personal sin, but the doctrine of salvation will be proclaimed, when a man proclaims it, as the elected Pope. It will happen independently of him. One could say, what if he wants to make a false statement, something wrong that he would want to say as a pope? It is impossible. He would die before that, or the lie would be changed in truth. Here is an example. Some theologians said, in the Second Vatican Council, that there is no solemn dogma, which the fathers did not want, because they wanted to be humble. Well, it seems to me that the Holy Spirit does what he wants. Since it is his magisterium and because he makes it infallible. If one reads Gaudium et Spes 22.5, this is apparently a solemn dogma, despite the fact the fathers did not accept it, and this text declares, because Christ died for us all, and because his paschal mystery must concern all men, we must hold that God offers his salvation, by a means known to him, for all men. This sounds amazing, of a solemn tone, that the fathers wanted to avoid, we have the definition of the fact that all men will be offered salvation. We do not know how, but God will do it, and therefore, it doesn't mean that everyone will obviously accept it. Some may refuse it, but all men will be offered salvation. This is an example of an infallible solemn magisterium.